Yaniv practice is particularly important because of the condition that the medical world has attached to him. And that label inherently has in it that he may have difficulty communicating with other people, with understanding or interpreting or expressing emotions in a particular way. And that is at a verbal level, in a language level. And when we look at his paintings, how he could connect to his paintings is amazing. You know, how many people have already bought his work, not just in one country, but multiple countries. That means that he is connecting to people at an emotional level. And it is fantastic that he's able to do that through another medium. If he would have never been presented with that medium, he would never have had that opportunity. He would never have had that connection. He would never have enhanced those people's lives. In that way, art becomes a venue, a platform for Yaniv to interact with the world at large, which is very different than him being isolated, because the verbal written language may not be up to scratch to our standards, and therefore we cannot understand it. But it's through the art he can connect with the world at large and with us as individuals. And that is amazing, and that is an opportunity that he should never be deprived of. That would be really a great violation. And what I found with people with intellectual disabilities, particularly people with Down syndrome, but not even others, they have become so clever in developing a language. Even though their intellectual ability is so limited, they develop limited language, and it's about coping in a verbal world. And I started to recognize when somebody who I know quite well for a long time, I started to put certain questions to her, and the questions that would come out of her was like, not responding to my question at all. He's just throwing something back at me just to fob me off, just to keep me quiet and keep me happy that I've given an answer, and even make it funny and laugh at it. But I actually realized that you're not understanding what I'm saying. And there's a lot of they develop tremendous coping mechanisms to cope in the world that we are familiar with. And they're actually very smart in that way. There is a great danger with outsider artists to be discovered and be put on a pedestal, and it's a fleeting thing, because then whoever is really interested in promoting artists or discovering new talent may move on to the next thing. And that happens a lot in the art world. You know, you have favorites, and being a favorite is the worst position to be in, because it also means you can fall out of that position very easily. And it is important for Yaniv that something sustainable is going to be developed for him. That's not just riding on a hype or just because he's won an award. No, there's something else happening that is really worth supporting. And it may be his only way of ever having an income that comes from his talent, rather than pushing trolleys or whatever they throw at these people. So it is important to keep that in eye. And also, Yaniv is still young, and he probably likes all that attention. Who doesn't? But we need to build him up to believe in his own practice, that it's worthwhile whether he gets an award from somewhere or not, because you can't keep on winning awards. That is unsustainable. Another thing I want to mention, that's what is possibly different within Unique from many other artists, is that because of his medical condition or medical label, his inner critic that we all live with may be not as strong, or may be silenced, or may not be present. I've noticed that working in a lot of artists with intellectual disabilities, you give them materials, they create. They don't have to think, what am I going to do? How am I going to do it? What colors am I going to use? What do I need? They just start. Whatever they're given, if it's a little pen, a writing pen, it doesn't matter what it is, they start to create. And I can't do that. I start to think, what am I going to do? How will it come across? They don't think about these things. They just create, almost like little children. But the difference is, they are not little children. They're adults who are capable of still drawing with a childlike quality to it. And it is a quality. The ability to be like a child, draw like a child, to create art that is just a natural extension of you, that is a quality. There's many modernist artists who looked to asylums for inspiration, who look to their own children's art for inspiration, like Jean Dubuffet, Paul Klee, for example. And they literally stole, they copyrighted their children's art. And if you see them next to each other, the children's art is often better than the famous artist art in the end. I'm getting a sense that the inner critic, or the ability to ignore maybe the inner critic, is something within them that sets them apart from many other artists. And that is, I think, again, different from being an outsider artist. I'm not sure yet what it is, but there's something happening there that I'm getting a sense of that is quite critical in defining the differences in them as an artist. We have a painting of Yaniv behind us here, and I absolutely love that work. It has an air of mystery about it. It has, it's open to interpretation. It is not one static picture. There's many things that different people can see in it, can relate to it. It's hard for me to express exactly what I like about it, but I would hang that on my wall, and I'll be quite happy to live with that. The luminance of it, the lightness of it. It's almost like a watercolor, and yet it is not painted in a watercolor technique. I know that water has played a role in creating that painting, but it's not in a traditional technique. He would not have been taught this technique anywhere in the world. It would not have been presented to him in school. This is something that came out of him, partially maybe by accident, by experimenting, but that's how all art comes about. It's about experimentation and going out of your comfort zones in a way, and trying out new things. And that's where new innovations happen in all levels of life, but also in art. And it's an image that I've never seen. I've never seen it. I don't think it exists in the real world out there. It may have been taken as an inspiration from a particular site, but I cannot compare it to anything that I've ever seen before. So it's something new that he has created, something innovative, and that's what I like about it.
I'm one of those people in the world, whatever they're called, who always believes they're going to get what they want. And that's good.